One of the inevitabilities of owning a vehicle that's more than 15 or 20 years old is you're going to have to start replacing gaskets, boots, and hoses. Such is the case here. If you look closely, you'll see that my rack and pinion steering boot is blown out on the small end, and I've got to replace this. First on the list of things to do is to start locating and collecting all the tools you're going to need. This should be the first thing you hunt for when you begin to do a project like this. You definitely want to protect your face and eyes. After the face shield, here's what else I used to work on this project. Two things you definitely got to have is some type of a tie rod breaker tool, a torque wrench, and the proper socket for the castle nut on the end of the ball joint. If you're fortunate enough to live near an auto parts store with a loaner tool program, you definitely want to pick this up. It's a front end service kit. It's got everything that you could possibly need to do the front end work on an automobile or a truck. Here's what I happened to own when I was doing mine. The top one is a tie rod puller. They're probably around 25 bucks. The lower one is a tie rod separator. A separator is guaranteed to destroy the rubber boot on the ball joint, so unless you're going to go ahead and replace the tie rod's ends as well, I definitely don't recommend you do your job with this one. Insofar as what is the best tool, probably this one. This particular tool can probably be found at Harbor Freight or Northern Tools at a very good price. Again, bear in mind that every single tool doesn't necessarily work in every application, and you want to make close inspection of your project before you buy a tool to use for your particular application. Okay, with all that in mind, let's get into it. In the case of this type of a wheel covering, I use a screwdriver and just twist the screwdriver and it pops right off. I definitely want to break loose all the lugs while the wheel is still on the ground. It's about impossible to get them off if you don't break them loose when you jack the car up, and then you got to try to turn the lugs when the wheel gets bent free. Next, make sure the car is very securely and safely supported on a jack stand. Don't bet your life on that hydraulic jack. Now that the car is safely up in the air, I'm going to go ahead and use that little cordless screwdriver I got. I really learned to like this little Black & Decker. It's fantastic for doing things like this where you don't have to have a whole lot of torque just to take the nuts off. And it really speeds up the process, not to mention saving your wrist. Since I know I've got to unscrew the tie rod ends, I want to make darn sure I put them right back where I found them to avoid having to take to a shop and have the car realigned. So measure the threads here. Next, it's time to take the cotter pin out of the castle nut. And in this case, it was lots of fun. And as you can see, it came out in pieces. Actually, this doesn't bother me because I know this means the cotter pin was installed correctly. A little more on that later on in the video. The next thing is to go ahead and break loose that lock nut on the end of the tie rod end. As you can see in this case, yeah, I had to go back and do mine. Now it's time to take the castle nut off. And these can be a real tussle. In my case, it really wasn't that tight. I was surprised. Once you got the castle nut off, go ahead and check all the threads first. Then take a screwdriver and move the boot right below the knuckle for the steering as down as far as you can so you can get the tie rod puller tool in there. What you see here is a test fit. I didn't want to expose my camera to this tie rod just in case things got a little loose. These tie rod ends do have a tendency to break loose rather suddenly, and of course tools and other things can go flying, so I wasn't taking any chances here. Thus, you need the face shield. I've owned this little tie rod puller for several years. I've used it both on a 71 Chevelle and on the Ford Mustang. The disadvantage here, of course, is the tapered bottom. It's designed for a smaller tie rod end, so it doesn't quite go in all the way. So you're operating at an angle, and as you can see here, you've only got about 2 inches of clearance. The one other thing you want to make sure you do with these is you want to make sure that you grease the bolt with a good heavy-duty wheel bearing grease, so it'll make it much easier to use. This is a totally unrelated bolt and nut for demonstration purposes. First thing, make sure that castle nut goes on there. real smoothly. You should be able to turn it on and off right in without any trouble at all. Next, turn the castle nut over upside down, thread it on the bolt until you have about a 32nd to a 16th of an inch, or 1 2 millimeters for you metric folks. And then you could have something for the bolt to latch into so the tool won't tend to pop off while you're trying to press out the tie rod end. Also, you definitely want to protect the threads on the end of this tie rod end ball joint. You want to make sure you don't damage the threads as you're doing this. Now, this particular tool had a 3/4 inch hex, so just crank down on it with a 3/4 inch socket. You probably want to have a 1/2 inch drive, maybe even a breaker bar until it breaks loose. Next, remove the castle nut and thoroughly examine the boot on the tie rod end to make sure you didn't damage the boot. Okay, next unthread the tie rod ends, the lock nut, and thoroughly check threads everywhere. The actual rod end, and you want to check the shaft that you just unthreaded the tie rod end from. Thoroughly clean all your threads, making sure that there's no burrs or any major debris that would make a problem when you have to tighten things back up. A Dremel tool works great for this application. Just one thing to remember is that these wire wheels do tend to come unglued. Make sure you're wearing that face shield. You don't want one of these quills in your eye. The factory used a metal wire tie, which I'll probably reuse, just a matter of bending the tab back and then sliding the old boot off. Now I want to compare it to the new stuff to make sure I got the correct thing before I start putting everything back together. The new boot came with plastic wire ties. I think I'll go ahead and reuse the metal stuff that was original with the car. Now it's time to do the checking and the cleaning, making sure most of the grease is still there and making sure no trash has got in since the boot was broken. I've still got to get the end seal. You can see about 2/3 of the way down the shaft off of the main rod. In this case, lineman's pliers removed the clamp. I had to stick a screwdriver in underneath the seal and twist it to break it loose. There is a groove there the new one will slide back into and clip onto, so you get a positive seal. Now it's time to slide the new boot and the old metal wire tie back into place. The trick here is getting the new boot past threads. I found out if you take the lock nut, thread it on there, you can use a wrench and you can basically push the boot back into place until it clears the threads. Once it's cleared threads, just push the boot back until you feel it clip into the groove on the shaft, and that puts the boot in the proper position. After that, use your lineman's pliers and slide the clamp style seal back over the boot and lock the boot in place where it's supposed to be. The next item on the agenda is to go ahead and thread the nut and the tie rod end back on the shaft. After that, we want to go ahead and get ready to push the ball joint in back through the steering knuckle, and then it's time to put the nut on for good and tighten things up. Now, before you grab the torque wrench, don't forget to check this dimension. Now, the torque spec here goes from 109 to 149 on my car, according to the manual. Any torque spec, to be accurate, you need to know the condition of the threads and whether or not any lubricant was used, what type of lubricant was used. In my case, I'm just going to take it as being clean, dry, undamaged threads. I set my torque wrench to 115 pounds, torqued it down to there, and the holes lined up perfectly with the castle nut. Next, it's time to tighten up that lock nut to the tie rod end. In this case, both of these are 18 millimeter. I did an 18 millimeter wrench. Mine went from 17 to 19, so I used a good old fashioned universal here. Now it's time to install the cotter pin. Obviously I had to have a new one here, so the best thing I could do is match up the hole size with the diameter of the pin itself. Then I want to insert the cotter pin and make sure that I get at least a 1/2 inch beyond the nut so I can bend back. Ideally, the slide is horizontal. You bend the top one way and the bottom the other way, and that makes it virtually impossible for the pin to be taken out without either destroying the pin or doing some pretty extensive bending to get the pin in the proper position. Well, thanks for watching. Hope you found this both interesting and useful. If you did, please consider giving me a like and definitely think about subscribing. I've got quite a few things coming along the line. I've got another one on battery maintenance I think you're going to want to see. I found out a few things that definitely helped me out there. In the event, take care, y'all. We'll see you on the next video.